Hey, how's it going, everyone? Welcome back to Hertastic Reviews. This is the YouTube channel where we talk about movies. We do top fives. We do Blu-ray recommendations and such. I'm your host, as always, Chris. And today we're doing a very special episode because about 2 years ago, I believe we did the top 5 Simp films. And today I figured, the world has changed in the world of film, and especially in society today. And I thought, there's a growing trend of movies called Sigma films. And, someone who identifies with that, I thought it would be very, very important that I, explain what it is and then also, give film recommendations and kind of set the record straight, because I feel like as a Sigma, I feel like there's a lot of judgment and a lot of assumptions and stereotypes. So I figured we'd just kind of get into that. But yeah, a Sigma basically is a Sigma male, is a guy who has a lot of emotions and feelings, just doesn't know how to outwardly express them. Usually a lot of alone time and downtime is needed. And usually there's someone who's a fan of the arts as well, though they don't conventionally look like someone who is. They just, have a lot of emotions, and just like the world around them just doesn't understand them. And the people around them just assume that there's some sort of outcast, or there's a missing part, and that's just not it. There's a lot of movies that I find comfort in, and then there's a lot of films that I know a lot of other people find comfort in as well. But just to give you an example of what Sigma films are, I kind of came just quickly before I give my 5 Sigma films. I figured I'd give you the 5 quick ones to identify and recommend as well. Very quickly, I have Joker by Todd Phillips right here. Very, very essential. I also have Prisoners from Denis Villeneuve. Recommend that, obviously. The next one with Ryan Gosling is Drive here. I have Martin Scorsese's 1976 classic Taxi Driver. Very much an essential viewing as well to kind of get in the mind. And then finally, if you're really still feeling up to it, Dan Gilroy's Nightcrawler starring Jake Gyllenhaal as well. I highly recommend this one. I've seen this movie multiple times. Cannot recommend it enough. So those are just kind of the movies that I recommend. But let's go into the meat. The ones that I think are unconventionally Sigma that people, I think, don't think about or they kind of overlook. So I figured I'd just come over here and just kind of, explain why I think these films need to belong in the Encyclopedia of Sigma films. So the first one I'm going to go with is Johnny Depp in this film from 2019. Johnny Depp in a film called The Professor. He's a drunk alcoholic who's going through a nasty divorce, and he has tenure at this college. I believe he's going through a divorce. So basically, Johnny Depp in The Professor, he's going through a nasty divorce, and he's a college professor, and he's just decided he has enough with society. He's kind of done with it because they're telling him to act a certain way, but everything's getting taken away from him. And he decides, I'm this older guy who's divorced. I want to live my life like I was a college student while also being a college professor. So he's teaching this literature course, I believe. And he just gets into all sorts of things. He's partying with the college students. He's just interacting with them and just relating to them. It's a very interesting and complex film. So I highly recommend watching The Professor. I don't think a lot of people saw this film. It was one of Johnny Depp's last movies before the whole Amber Heard trial. So I highly recommend watching The Professor. The next film, actually fitting with the last holiday of Thanksgiving we just had, I highly recommend watching this film. It's from 1983. That is Blood Rage. Blood Rage, I highly recommend. It's definitely a Sigma film because it's about 2 twins who had to deal with a very, very traumatic experience. Todd, who is Todd and Terry are the twins. Well, they get separated. They grow up very differently, and just society just does not want them to be together. And there's confusion in terms of who is who. And then a mother who is all taking place during Thanksgiving. Mother is trying to figure out how to help her sons. I think this is a very powerful film. I think there's a lot of layers to it. It definitely reminds me of sorts of the American Psycho, which is a Sigma film, and kind of the Joker, or not Joker, but the Taxi Driver approach to it. So I definitely recommend Blood Rage if you haven't seen it. Another film, this one stars Adrian Brody. The very great film about him being a teacher. This came out in 2012. It's called Detachment. Very much the main driving force of the Sigma films is detachment to society. He's a substitute teacher at this school, and there's just a lot of bullying, there's a lot of problems, and he's just going there to teach the kids and give them a second chance while also trying to understand himself. He wants to let them know that, there's beauty in this very loveless world, and that, things could get better. It has the late James Caan in there as well. Lucy Liu. I enjoy this movie. I think it's a very powerful film in terms of understanding like the adult world when you're in a profession, and I highly recommend Detachment. I think Adrian Brody delivered a very, very great performance in this. Next film on the list is a movie I think a lot of people really neglect. I think it really is a Sigma film, because when we talk about Sigmas, they're people who are goal driven. They want to be left alone, and they have a lot of complex emotions that they don't outly express constantly. I'm gonna go with Bill Murray in Garfield. Garfield really is a Sigma. I think people think he's cracking jokes and stuff, but this is really just a cat who knows what he wants and expresses himself. That's like socially acceptable, but like I think there's layers behind him that he doesn't know how to outwardly express. And I think with Garfield, he's doing a lot of brooding, and he's very much antisocial in some ways. He doesn't get along with a lot of people, and I think that's definitely a fragment of the Sigma filmography. Like there's elements and themes of that. I think Garfield really does represent a lot of those things. So go rewatch Garfield. I think that one goes overlooked. Finally, the last film, I think one of the best adaptations of this character, and definitely drives home the whole Sigma agenda. Lego Batman. It's a great one of the best Batman films, period. I think it's better than The Dark Knight, which is one of the ultimate Sigma films, but also at the same time, I think like the Batman 2022 as well. I think Lego Batman might just edge those two. And in terms of like Sigma films, the Sigma mentality, I mean, anything with Batman and Joker is going to have those elements. And I think Lego Batman is just one of those, because it's a Lego movie, people forget about. And I think it needs to be rewatched and appreciated. It definitely is in like the hierarchy of great cinema in terms of Sigma. So Sigma, right? But I really recommend rewatching Lego Batman. I think Will Arnett does a great job in that as well. But other than that is my list of the 5 Sigma films or overlooked Sigma films I think you all need to check out. What are some ones that I missed? What are some that you would like to see mentioned and like give an appreciation to? Are you a Sigma yourself? Let me know down in the comments below. If you haven't, subscribed to the channel before, here's your chance. Click the link right here. Make sure to subscribe to the channel, follow us for more stuff. Don't forget to check out Inside the Sequel podcast as well. But other than that, my name is Chris here at Hertastic Reviews. And remember, if you are watching Sigma films, do you really care about cinema? Other than that, we'll see you next time. Hey, it's Chris again. Remember, don't forget to check out Inside the Sequel. Follow us on Twitter. Follow me on Twitter to see all my crazy hot takes and rankings. But yeah, this month of October, we have awesome